Do you have a hard time falling asleep? If so, you are not alone. The podcast, Very Sleepy, is a podcast dedicated to helping people just like you fall asleep. When you listen to Very Sleepy, you will fall asleep to classic stories and fairy tales that you know, love, and grew up with. Wonderful stories like Winnie the Pooh, King Arthur and the Round Table, A Christmas Carol, and more. Very Sleepy is for all ages and uses a combination of stories and delta wave music in the background to promote a feeling of comfort, which will allow you to drift into sleep peacefully. Very Sleepy is available on Buzzsprout, Apple Podcast, and iHeartRadio. Start listening tonight for a great night's sleep. Add Very Sleepy to your playlist right now.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. And please make sure that you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you are listening to us on. Well, I turned on the news today and I missed it. McConnell gave a speech and they're just making such a big deal about it. And on Fox, it says, McConnell fires back at Biden's profoundly unpresidential speech, deliberately divisive. Now, this is when Biden yesterday was just saying a lot of stupid stuff, which I'm not interested in. And I'm really not interested in McConnell. You know, McConnell is doing what we were talking about yesterday with Kevin McCarthy. McConnell is trying to gather support from Republican voters and MAGA voters, just like Kevin McCarthy is. They're all snakes. He undermined Trump at every opportunity. He said terrible things about President Trump after the Capitol breach, Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
They're all snakes. And what they're trying to do, this is what they figure. And this is not new with the Republicans. The Republicans have always been this way, right? They never do anything that they promise. This is before Trump, okay? I'm talking about before Trump came down the escalator. They never do anything they promise. They tell us all these things, and they don't come through on their promises because they figure, well, they're not going to vote for the Democrat. They'll vote for us anyway, these Yahoo people. You know, that's how they view us. So don't believe Mitch McConnell. I don't care what he said about Joe Biden. He probably voted for Joe Biden, Mitch McConnell.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
So I'm not fooled by that.
No doubt about that.
Yeah. I'm not fooled by that. And they think we're so stupid.
Well, I think they're realizing that Trump still has a lot of power and control over the voting base and over the party. And elections are coming up. I don't think Mitch McConnell's in any danger. I don't even know if he's up for election yet, but he's pretty much locked in like Pelosi. But
yeah.
I think like Ted Cruz and all these people, you know, they're realizing when they go against him, there's a massive, massive backlash.
Well, what they're trying to do, Kathy, is set up – what Mitch McConnell is trying to do, and this is true with Kevin McCarthy, but definitely with McConnell with this thing today, they're trying to set up a post-Trump Republican Party and get the voters behind them. Screw them. I don't buy any of it. They're all snakes. They undermined Trump. They stopped him at every turn. Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan controlled the entire Congress for Trump's first 2 years. And Mitch McConnell's a terrible, terrible person. He's a complete fraud and liar.
Yeah, and the only time they're going to have a post-Trump government is after Trump wins his second term and
that's right,
retires from politics.
That's right, and then it'll be,
and then he'll still have
power.
He'll still have power as long as he's alive and breathing. He will, you know, he's very healthy. He will still have that power. And when he wins and leaves office again, he's still going to campaign and come out and speak. And once we get his Truth Social going, what you're going to see, that's coming next month, he is going to have a platform again. It's going to be his platform. And everybody's going to join it. And you are going to start seeing the media talking about his tweets or whatever they're going to call them. You know, I don't know what they're calling their posts. But you're going to start seeing the media talking about his posts incessantly, daily, hourly, because their ratings are in the toilet and Trump is good for their ratings.
Yeah. Now, speaking of ratings, CNN, let me read this in the Daily Mail. We'll go through this. This is amazing. CNN has seen its viewership. This is the Daily Mail I'm reading from. CNN has seen its viewership nosedive by a staggering 90%. 90%. That means their current viewing audience is 10% of what it was.
That's incredible.
This is both over all demographics, as well as the critical demographic coveted by television advertisers, which is the 25 to 54. The once proud leader in cable news averaged just 548,000 viewers during the week of January 3rd, a huge drop from the nearly 2.7 million for the same week in 2021, according to the most recent ratings. Those numbers were supercharged by the left-leaning network's coverage of the Capitol riot, which resulted in CNN having its most watched day, the day of the riot. However, on the one-year anniversary of the insurrection, these are not my words, it's the Daily Mail. No one's been charged with insurrection. That's like, calling somebody a murder victim when there was no murderer. It's bizarre.
Well, it's a word that's sticking
on
with
the
left.
Yeah, on the 1 year anniversary of the insurrection, viewers chose right-wing rival Fox as its top ratings, for coverage of the event. CNN saw an 86% decline in the 25 to 54 demographic, with just 113,000 tuned in last week. Let me tell you.
And that's the demographic they really want.
I am grossly underpaid. I mean, I have more people listening to me each and every day than CNN. I mean, this is nuts.
These are numbers that they cannot ignore. They just cannot ignore these numbers.
Well, okay.
They're going to have to do something.
CNN has new management coming in. They have new owners. A lot of things are going on at CNN. But this is a big deal, and I'll tell you why. We are in the beginning of the midterm election year, which is not as big as a presidential election year, but we're at the beginning of the midterm election year. That's when ratings for the news are supposed to be at their highest, and they're tanking. And it's not that people are not watching cable news. They're going to Fox and Newsmax and other places. They're choosing not to go to CNN and MSNBC because they do not want to hear the liberal perspective.
This is why competition is good. Because when CNN first started, they were really the only 24-hour news network, and it was popular. And anytime something's popular, you're going to have people that are copying you or doing the same thing. And now they no longer have that monopoly on your news for news junkies. There's so many other things you can watch. And I think a lot of people, and we were talking about this the other night, Fox has gone back to brand.
Yeah.
They got rid of a lot. I mean, getting rid of Chris Wallace, Juan Williams, Donna Brazile. They went through this whole thing where they were hiring all these liberals and going to the left. And then everybody stopped, after the election, people stopped watching them and their ratings just really. And then when Newsmax came along, and I think when Greg Kelly, who's the best, beat Martha McCallum, I think they were in shock. And that's when they started to go back to what they knew. Mm-hmm. And they started to say, you know what, we cannot ignore our base audience. We're going to lose everything. And they're now, back to kind of where they were a little bit more, and they got rid of a lot of those libs. But CNN doesn't seem to take those kind of cues. They don't seem to read the writing on the wall and learn. They live in a bubble, and at least Fox, you can say, okay, they can read the tea leaves and be like, this is not going in the right direction, and they changed course. CNN is like they're doubling down. They refuse, but like I said, these are numbers they cannot ignore, and they are ripe for a change, for a massive change.
Yeah.
Who's the first person you would fire at CNN?
Well, they already fired that person. They already fired that person, Chris Cuomo.
No. He's the first one. No.
I couldn't stand him. Don Lemon.
Brian Stelter.
Don Lemon. Oh, yes.
He's the top of my...
Yeah, I forgot. I was thinking...
They brought me in. He's the
Brian
top
Stelter.
Who's the first pink slip you'd want to write up? Brian Stelter,
I wouldn't fire him first. I would go in and be very
buddy... Make him squirm?
No, I'd be very buddy with him, and then I'd fire everybody else. I'd fire him last so that he thought that he was going to make it.
Just to play with his head.
Brian Stelter would definitely be the one I'd want to get rid of. Yeah. But when people don't believe liberals anymore. That's why they're leaving MSNBC and CNN.
True.
They don't believe liberals. They don't want to hear what liberals have to say. Now,
because they lie all the time.
Well, they've lost credibility with even their own Democrat base. Now, on Sunday, I don't know what I did on Sunday, but I pulled my back out. And it was bad. I don't know what happened. And it was so bad. I woke up in the middle of the night and I was in massive pain.
I know what happened.
I pulled a muscle or something in my back.
You turned weird. You turned over.
Well, I was doing some stuff.
And it woke you up.
I was doing some things in the garage earlier in the day. I don't know. And I woke up. I was in so much pain. And then when I woke up, the pain was so bad I could almost not get out of bed, but I had to get up and go to work. It was Monday morning. And I put on my MyPillow, my slippers. And I've heard some of our listeners who have neuropathy talk about how their MyPillow, my slippers have helped their neuropathy. In fact, one of our listeners said within 10 minutes his neuropathy was gone. Yeah. And I put on my MyPillow, my slippers, and I was up about 3 hours. I got it really early because I was in so much pain. I got about 3 hours before I had to leave the house to go to the radio station. And when I got out of bed, I got in the shower, got out of the shower, put on my slippers, and I wore my MyPillow, my slippers for the 2-3 hours before I had to go to work. And I didn't even realize it until I was about to leave, and my back pain was gone. Mm-hmm. My back pain was gone. I don't know what it is about the MyPillow, my slippers, but it helped my back. My back pain disappeared. It's not returned. And I've had other people tell me the same thing.
I think a lot of people live with pain, which is awful. I cannot imagine. And I think if you live with any kind of pain like that, I think the MyPillow products are really good for that. Whatever he does and makes them out of, they seem to really help people that live with chronic pain.
Yeah. So if you go to MyPillow.com and you use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, the MyPillow, my slippers are 40% off. It's a great deal. 40% off the MyPillow, my slippers with our promo code at checkout, Kane, Kane. All right. And they come in many different styles and colors for both men and women. That's promo code Kane, Kane, at checkout at MyPillow.com. So CNN has lost 90% of their viewers, and believe me, there's panic going on over there, a lot of panic. And, one thing about the liberal media, Rush Limbaugh used to talk about this a lot. He says liberal media is the one business that will not change what they're doing because their consumers don't want it. If their ratings go, that's like if CNN were a store, viewers are customers, and CNN, MSNBC as well, but the new numbers out are about CNN. They are so arrogant.
Yeah,
that
it's arrogance.
They think that the viewers just don't get what they're doing.
Right. And that's how all liberals are.
They're not going to change up what they're doing so that the consumer wants to go there because what they're doing is just so just and right. And
they're going to have to.
Yeah.
They're going to have to. They have no choice because nobody's watching them and they're not marketable. Companies
The brand is just damaged beyond repair.
And I think you're right. It's because they talked about the Russia thing for 3 years and nothing came of it. It was all lies, and now it's coming out that it was all lies. And then the things they said and having Fauci on, plus, plus the people they have on as commentators, Michael Cohen and Avenatti and Stormy Daniels, they're scumbags. And I think the problems they're having behind the scenes with Cuomo and his producers, it's a problem.
Well, and don't forget
a major problem
the pedo producer.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, is that the guy you're talking about? There's two of them.
All these things are just making people absolutely disgusted. They need to completely redo that entire network.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm clearing my
throat. Redo the whole network.
The CNN brand is beyond repair, and what really has to happen for CNN to, not that we want CNN to be successful, not in their current form because they're so destructive. What needs to happen is everyone needs to be fired, and they need entirely new
purge.
They need to fire everyone. I don't care who they are, and that's behind the scenes too. Except maybe even the cameraman.
I think there's a lot of people. Yeah,
they need an entire rebrand. They have to fire every person and make a big deal about it. And I'm talking about all the behind the scenes people, the writers, the producers, people that you never see on television. I'm not talking about just the air staff. I'm talking about everyone, their entire management team. They also need new sets. They have to relaunch as something completely different with new sets, new people.
Do a relaunch.
And say, this is the new CNN. Everyone here is brand new, and start like they're starting the network over again.
I agree with you completely.
That's how damaged
it is.
The brand of CNN is. Now, let us know in the comments what you think about that. Is the CNN brand beyond repair? I think it is, because CNN means liberal arrogance, CNN has had a lot of problems. But when CNN, I believe, was it CNN where the guy was reporting in front of that massive burning building and said this is mostly a peaceful protest while an entire block, the building was that big, was burning?
I mean, they just gaslight their audience.
That was the end of CNN.
Yeah.
That day. That was like that scene out of Naked Gun with Leslie Nielsen.
That's exactly right.
Remember that scene?
Nothing to see here.
Now, listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there is a lot more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
From author Frankie Bell comes your next must-read book, Choose to Win. Available on Amazon. Dr. Frankie Bell began her life in Auburn, Alabama, in a tiny house with no indoor bathroom. Growing up poor meant going without things most of us take for granted, such as new clothes, washing machines, and a car in the driveway. It also meant frequent moves between relatives' homes. From a young age, Frankie learned self-reliance, a lesson that would serve her later in life. One day in 2010, she found herself facing down her own mortality after a horrible pedestrian accident. Badly broken and grieving the death of her close friend, she was told she would be lucky to walk again. Certainly, her days as an avid runner were over. Thus, her long and painful recovery became her greatest challenge. Frankie had to come to realize just how strong and determined she could be. Moreover, she had developed a relationship with God, built on the understanding that His plan will be fulfilled no matter how hard one resists. Choose to Win is Dr. Frankie Bell's remarkable story of courage, faith, and optimism, and the life lessons she's learned along the way. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Choose to Win from author Frankie Bell. If you love unique silver jewelry, you need to check out Silver City 925 on Etsy. There you will find a collection of vintage sterling silver jewelry and Native American rings for men, women, and children of all ages that are a tribute to cultures from around the world. From traditional Navajo and Zuni rings to Art Deco rings, poison rings, and animal rings. Silver City 925 on Etsy brings to you a variety of styles. Their beautifully designed vintage settings with gorgeous gemstones, including turquoise, amber, lapis moonstones, onyx, coral, tiger eye, and a lot more. Rings are like many sculptures that can be worn on your fingers to express who you are. Whether you are searching for yourself or a gift for a special friend or relative, you will always find something extra special at Silver City 925 on Etsy. Go to the shop right now and start shopping. Etsy.com/shop/Silver City 925. Share the link on all of your social media so your friends can shop at Silver City 925 too. Etsy.com/shop/Silver City 925. Hey Etsy shoppers, there's an Etsy shop you will want to check out. SAF715 Shop on Etsy.com. SAF715 Shop carry items for kids and the entire family. Check out their printable posters, flashcards for children, worksheets for the kids, digital sticker calendars. They have cool learning books for children too, and a whole lot more. Do you like gaming? They have an awesome poster that's perfect for PS4 gamers. There's also a couple holding hands poster that's great for newlyweds. Their prices are great too. Check out the shop right now. Go to Etsy.com and search SAF715 Shop. That's all one word. SAF715 Shop on Etsy.com.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks for tuning in. And make sure that you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to us on.
I wanted to say when they redo CNN,
can't be
hopefully,
soon enough.
I think it'll be soon. I really do. I think they have no other option. And they have talked about this merger or something taken over. I don't want to see the same news people. I am so sick of the same people.
Gotta get rid of everybody.
I want all new people. No, I mean, I don't want them getting people from other networks.
Oh, no.
And shuffling
People we don't
around.
know.
And I want new people.
Completely
like all
new.
new. Go out in the country, find some really good reporters that are serious journalists, that are good on camera, no more personalities. And I was saying this to you on Fox, what's going on, and I'm not happy about it. Fox is hiring personalities. And I know they do that, but there's like no more journalists anymore. I like Rachel Duffy. I like her, but she is not host material on her own. She hosted and she did the 7 o'clock hour last week or whatever.
Jesse Waters' new show.
Right. or a couple days ago. She was horrible. She messed up every sentence. She couldn't pronounce obstetrician, and she said like 50 times.
I think she was nervous.
It was whatever. She's not a journalist. She's an MTV personality who happens to be married to a congressman who's also an MTV personality. I like her in the morning on the weekends, but that's her limit as far as I'm concerned. You got to hire real journalists to me, or you have no credibility. It's I know they're telling you their opinion, but when you start hiring personalities like Rachel Duffy, Lawrence Jones, to me, that's not serious. That's not serious, taking things seriously.
I know what you mean.
You have some personalities, I understand. I don't even know Hannity's background or Tucker, if they're I don't know. But they've been in the business a long time.
I'll tell you, if you listen to...
I want to see journalists here.
If you listen to Hannity's show one day on the radio, you'll know his whole bio. He goes through his whole work history, his whole resume on every radio show. Worked on the roof, dug ditches, everything.
Yeah, we all know that.
Yeah, I mean, but you just have to listen to his radio show. You'll know everything about his background. That's all he does.
I just think that they need to hire people that are news people and go more for that than
like from the local news is,
stop, she got that. I like her, but obviously she got that job she was filling in. They like people there, people from MTV or something.
I'll take her over anyone at CNN or MSNBC.
No, I like her, but I just think that sometimes they're going in the wrong direction, and she's definitely not the material to host her own show. I'm sorry.
I want to play this one clip from Joy Reid over on MSNBC. She's talking about financial penalties for people who are not vaccinated. And, let me play this and then we'll talk about it, okay? This is Joy Reid, MSNBC. This was last night.
Let's talk about what other countries are doing, because at some point,
Now, let me tell you this, okay? I know we have listeners in other countries outside the United States. We have a lot of listeners in Canada, a lot of listeners in the UK. We've got a ton of listeners in Australia. And please don't take offense at what I'm going to say. But in the United States, Americans don't care about anything going on in other countries.
That's true.
Nothing. You
never see, rarely, that kind of stuff. But when you go to Europe, you see all kinds of stuff. Look at the Daily Mail, or if you watch news on the BBC. Yeah. Everything they tell you is from America.
And I watch
nothing goes on over there unless it's COVID related.
I watch Sky News out of Australia on YouTube, and they've got all the American political stories. They do a better job covering American politics in Australia than our networks do here. But anyway, so Joy Reid wants to go to other countries and do what it is they're doing.
Let's talk about what other countries are doing, because at some point, I feel like people who are willfully unvaccinated, fine, don't get vaccinated.
That's a new thing. Willfully unvaccinated? Are there forced vaccinations going on that I'm not aware of? You said willfully unvaccinated?
They need to start to pay a little bit more of the cost of what this is doing to our system. There are fines that are levied in places like Germany. Germany has stopped paying for the tests, the virus tests for people who choose to be unvaccinated. They've ended quarantine pay for those without vaccinations. IKEA, the company, is slashing sick pay for unvaccinated UK workers. If you are a smoker, insurance companies can charge you more. They can charge you a premium of up to 50%, and you have to put that on the form when you apply for insurance. At some point, don't we have to make people who are just saying, I'm willing to take the risk to be unvaccinated, take the risk for me and take the risk for everyone I come in contact with? Shouldn't they have to pay more into the system because they are collapsing our health system? They're the ones in the ERs. They're taking it up. If you have a stroke or you have a heart attack, you can't get in the ER because they're taking up all the beds. So shouldn't they have to pay more?
Okay. Now, what Joy Reid there said at the end, I've heard a lot of people say in the media, people that have strokes and heart attacks can't get in the hospitals. I would like them to find one stroke victim or someone who has suffered a heart attack who has been denied medical treatment in a hospital because someone is taking up a bed that is unvaccinated. That just doesn't happen.
Plus, the CDC just came out and said 75% of the people that had COVID last year were there for other reasons. So clearly they're getting in the hospitals. They just happen to have COVID, but they're being treated for other things.
Well, America is a free country, supposedly. And I know it's not as free today as it was a year and a half ago, in a lot of ways. But Democrats, they just don't get it. When people in America don't like to be told what to do. And when you have the government or you have people in media making demands on people. It makes them telling them that they must do this or they'll be punished, makes them not want to do it just because we're a free people and we don't want to be told what to do.
No, Americans don't. And I see the narrative changing on all this stuff with COVID now. Now they're basically saying, live with it. There's nothing we could do, which is what we've been saying all along, really, that we just have to learn to live with it and make your choice and life has to go on.
Yeah.
But a year ago, it was a totally different story. What's the difference? There's a different person in the White House.
Yeah.
That's the difference. So, or more than a year ago.
Well,
when this started, when Trump was in there, it was like mandates, lockdowns, this. Now, 2 years later, it's like, we can't control this thing. So just go about your business.
If they, now this is just me, okay? And I don't know how you guys feel that listen. I'm when I have the news on and they start talking about COVID, I'm out. I am not interested.
No, me too.
You don't hear me talking about even this instance here with Joy Reid. We're not talking about COVID. We're talking about some liberal with a crazy idea. We don't talk about COVID. We don't talk about any of that stuff. I think people want to move beyond it.
They do.
I think people are tired of it. They want to get on with their life and they don't want to think about it all the time.
I hate the local news. I mean, I like the local news.
Our local news is awful.
I watch the local news, WP TV, and they're very good. And they have a great weatherman, Steve Weigel.
That's the local news station of Mar-a-Lago.
That's right. It's Palm Beach and the Treasure Coast. WP TV, they're very professional. Shannon Cake, Steve Weigel, I love them all. But they talk about COVID too much.
Nonstop.
It's
every other story.
I know they're trying to inform people about things going on, and they do a lot of good local stories other than that. But it's like every other story is related to it somehow. And I know they feel they have to do that, maybe because things are slow in other parts of I don't know. But, I think everybody has COVID fatigue. And we have Fauci fatigue.
I do. I'm not interested in it anymore. That's why we don't talk about it. I know a lot of people do. Not much. If there's something specific in the news happening. But when you turn on the mainstream media, it's all like Joy Reid.
Well, I think they're slowly...
They're using COVID to try to get you to bend to their will on something.
Maybe that's why their ratings are in the crapper. Maybe that's why CNN's ratings are so bad, because people are sick of hearing about it. And you're going to see... I can't wait to see CNN change. I'm excited to see it. I want them to be better. I don't have any super loyalty to Fox or Newsmax. I just want somebody who's going to be fair and not be so politically driven. And actually, I would love a network that just gives you straight news, goes out, has field reporters, gives you stories that you can think about and care about, instead of being so politically driven. I mean, I'm just so tired of politics and everything. Aren't you guys? I mean, I'm kind of sick of the news, if anything.
Like,
I'll give you
an example. Today, I missed the McConnell speech live, and I was on the phone talking to Steve Kane. He's like, "Oh, did you see the McConnell speech?" I says, No. I said, "Well, let me turn on Fox." And they had on Harris Faulkner and somebody else, and then they were talking to, I like the girl too. Who's the girl that on Instagram every weekend she's on vacation?
Katie Pavlich.
Yeah, Katie Pavlich.
Yeah, she goes out of town every weekend.
Yeah, if you follow her.
She's living the good life.
They weren't, all they were doing was they were talking about the speech, but they didn't show any of it. They didn't even tell you what Mitch McConnell said. They were just generally talking about it. And what the news does is they don't report the news.
No.
They give you a one sentence. Mitch McConnell gave a rebuke of Biden today, and what does this? And then they talk about that.
Let's discuss.
Yeah, exactly.
For 3 hours.
And I'm like, what? I want to know
the
news. Speech. So I had to go online and find the speech and watch it for myself.
That's not news.
Now, I want to play this clip here from Libs of TikTok, and let me tell you something. Libs of TikTok is the best TikTok account there is. And what Libs of TikTok is...
You mean Twitter account.
Did I say Twitter? What did I say?
You said TikTok account.
Oh, no, they're not. They may be on TikTok. I don't know.
It's a Twitter account.
But Libs of TikTok is on Twitter.
It's very good.
And surprisingly, I was very shocked that the person behind the Libs of TikTok account is a woman. It sounded like something a guy would be doing.
I wish I would have thought of it. It's a great idea.
Yeah, I saw her on Eric Bolling's show on Newsmax TV a couple weeks ago, and she kept her identity secret, which is probably smart.
How long will it be before that account's taken off Twitter?
I wouldn't be surprised. What Libs of TikTok is, the person that puts it together watches TikTok videos of liberals, takes the videos and posts them on their Twitter, which is Libs of TikTok. And Some of them are frightening. A lot of them are funny, but you're really seeing the pulse of the new generation of liberals. And this one is just so strange. Let me play the audio. This is from the Libs of TikTok, and it's about straightness, okay, which is strange. It's a very strange TikTok. Listen to this.
Concept of straightness was basically created to make women prisoners to men.
Okay, so straightness was created to make women prisoners of men. I thought straightness was created to keep the species going.
Yes, it's to procreate.
But you know that. But
I mean, if nobody's straight, then the human race will die off. That's how it works, guys.
You know, Kathy, back in the 70s during that ERA period, I can't remember. Somebody out there will know who this is when I mention this. So you can let me know in the comments because I can't think of who it was. But there was one of the feminist leaders in the 70s. She thought all sex was rape. And she would say this all the time. I can't remember who that was. If someone remembers, let me know in the comments. But let's get back to the Libs of TikTok.
Straightness was basically created to make women prisoners to men. Because as we see on this app over and over, men don't actually like women. They want to have sex with female anatomy. They don't like women. If you followed me for a while, you know my Straight Guys Aren't Straight series, but this basically puts into a nice pretty bow.
Okay, straight guys aren't straight.
That's what all gay guys think.
Okay. Now,
you told me that. You said all gay guys think that all guys are gay.
This is a funny thing, okay? at a radio station I used to work at, one of the hosts was not just gay. I mean, he was very out of the closet. And we had a business lunch meeting one day, right? And a friend of his was at the restaurant and came down and, you know, it was like talking to him and us. And he had just gotten back. I remember this yesterday, like it was yesterday. This guy had just gotten back from the Cayman Islands. And he was telling this guy about all the guys that he had sex with in the Cayman Islands, and one in particular on the beach. And of course, every guy that he had sex with not only was straight, his wife was back in the hotel room.
Of course.
No, they weren't straight.
No.
Even if they had a wife back in the hotel room, they weren't straight. But anyway, let's get back to this Libs of TikTok.
Women. They want to have sex with female anatomy. They don't like women. If you followed me for a while, you know my Straight Guys Aren't Straight series, but this basically puts into a nice pretty bow for you. People are afraid of queerness becoming more and more accepted because women are more and more leaning into that queerness. And so are some men, which is awesome. It means is that more and more women are going to start to pair up with other women and leaving these awful human beings who are unevolved, emotionally unintelligent, and just downright abusive by themselves with no prisoner but each other. I'm not saying that men and women can't be actually attracted to each other, but remember, it's all a construction at this point. And as you undo it, you see that one group of people is definitely benefiting more than the other, and that's not the way it's been in history so far. Love you, ladies.
Okay.
Bizarre.
This is a scary world we're in.
It is.
And, you know, the internet, there's so many great things about the internet, but there's a lot of bad things about it. And you know, this person is so warped, so messed up, so strange. I don't think they realize what they're saying.
No.
And they believe that everything is a construct. Nothing's real.
It's what you make it.
It's what you make it.
And they're trying to reshape everything. There's a real war on men. Straight men, especially white straight men. And there's this whole thinking of like they asked Reese Witherspoon, I can't remember her name, her daughter, if she was straight or gay, and she said she's neither. She's attracted to people. So this new thing. She said gender doesn't matter, where they're really trying to eliminate the concept of gender completely. I really feel bad for these kids because they're really brainwashing an entire generation. But you know, when we were kids, maybe there were things that the older people thought we were being brainwashed to think too. I mean, maybe this just happens all the time, but it's really bizarre. And I feel bad for these young kids because the lines are very blurry. It would seem to me like it'd be very confusing to be a young person right now. Like you wouldn't know which end is up. And I think social media is very damaging to young people. I mean, I just could not imagine being a young person in today's world. I know they grow up with it. They're used to it. But I think it's a very confusing time, and I feel sorry for these young people because they don't know what normalcy is. Everything's nuts right now. I'm not saying that being gay isn't normal. I know gay people, and they're normal to me. What I'm saying is there's so many crazy things out there being said. It's so confusing. there's no center. There's no center gravity. It's all over the place. And there's a lack of morality and a lack of faith and religion. And I feel really bad for these kids. And the parents are a lot to blame. And social media, I think, is just a poisoned place for young people especially.
Yeah. Listen, we're going to take our last break. When we get back, there's a lot more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We will be back right after this.
There's a podcast that you will want to add to your playlist, Warriors for Christ. That's the number 4. Warriors for Christ is a Christian podcast providing biblical teaching without the doctrines of man. In other words, they like to let the Bible explain itself. The format includes non-denominational readings and teachings from the Bible. They also have interviews and whatever the Lord puts on their hearts to present. Life in this world can be very stressful and filled with anxieties. Warriors for Christ will give you the biblical information you need to help deal with all life has to bring. Warriors for Christ confronts many false doctrines which are pervasive in this age and what some call the church in a box. And they also offer a full gospel ministry. Find Warriors for Christ on Podomatic, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Player FM, Stitcher, Deezer, Amazon Podcast, and Spotify. Warriors for Christ. Share the podcast on all of your social media so your friends can listen to Warriors for Christ. That's the number 4. Add it to your playlist right now. From author T.W. Schultz comes the book, The Proficient Investor, available on Amazon. Have you ever wondered how you can get the lifestyle you've always wanted? Have you tried to invest here and there, inspired by sporadic advice, without getting an actual return? When you invest, you're taking a risk. The risk is bigger when you're a beginner. As a beginner, or even if you've been trading for a while, you need easy to learn, easy to apply methods that will get you into the market at the right moment to make a profit quickly. In the book, The Proficient Investor, from author T.W. Schultz, you will find exactly what you need in order to become proficient in no time. Don't lose any more time exploring difficult options. Sharpen the exact skills you need to maximize your profit and start living the lifestyle that you desire. Whether you're looking for a first-time guide to investment or to refresh your basics, The Proficient Investor is the exact read you've been searching for. You will learn to build strong foundations that will become your trading arsenal to avoid unnecessary losses and seize opportunity at the right moment. Order your copy right now. The Proficient Investor, from author T.W. Schultz, available on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and audiobook. Hi, Brian Craig here. I'm in studio with my wife, Kathy, and she's here to tell you about her experience with the MyPillow mattress topper.
Well, as you know, Brian, I was waking up in pain almost every morning for years and years, and we had bought a new mattress not that long ago, but it still was not doing the trick. So I said to you, let's get the MyPillow mattress topper, and let's see if it helps or makes any kind of a difference. And I have to tell you, after sleeping on it just one night, I woke up, no pain. I felt incredible. It made a huge difference for me. And the pain has not returned.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. Now go to MyPillow.com and order your MyPillow mattress topper and do what Kathy and I did. Use the promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E. And this is an incredible deal because with the promo code KANE, you will save 30% off the MyPillow mattress topper and get 2 free MyPillows. But you've got to use the promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E. It comes in every size too, from twin all the way up to California King. That's promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at MyPillow.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Okay, now, we were talking earlier in the week, and it's kind of disappeared from the news already. You know, the attention span of people that follow the news is about 30 seconds. But the Manhattan DA basically legalized a lot of crimes by saying he's not going to prosecute them. And we were talking about how we know he's from Harlem and how he had liberal guilt, that he grew up, went to the Ivy League, now he's a big deal, and the guys that he went to school with got jammed up and everything. Well, we found out some things about him today. His whole background, the bio that he's put out there, has been false. He grew up rich.
Oh my God!
Listen to this. Let me read it. There's a very good conservative news website that you guys should check out. And that's where this story is at. thepostmillennial.com. It's out of Canada, but it's mostly American stories. They have some Canadian stories too there. Thepostmillennial.com. There's a lot of conservatives and MAGA people in Canada, and this website is one of the best. It really is when it comes to it's hard to say that any conservative website is the best because there's so many good ones now, but the postmillennial.com, it's very good. Alvin Bragg, the new district attorney for Manhattan, okay? And this is, I'm going to read from the postmillennial.com here. In the unveiling of policy changes, Alvin Bragg reintroduced a summary of his upbringing that some sources are doubting. It's a pressing situation considering how, according to the New York Post on Tuesday, an ex-convict who threatened a drugstore owner at knife point was not given felony robbery charges because of Bragg's policymaking. The Daily Mail's latest expose shines a light on the wealthy background of Alvin Bragg, who during his campaign as district attorney tried to convey a more struggling past. Alvin Bragg is trying to score cool points in the hood, but he's not Tupac. He's more like Babyface, according to one NYPD detective who spoke to the media. It's revealed that Bragg went to Trinity School, which is a private school in the Upper West Side of New York City.
But wait, I thought all black people were poor.
Well, not Alvin Bragg. The accusations of privilege come from the fact that Trinity School has a tuition of $50,000 a year.
Wow.
Yeah. Do
you see what's happening? I don't mean to interrupt you, but he's pandering. And when I said I thought all black people were poor, that was a joke. He's pandering to liberals because that's what he thinks. He thinks that that's the stereotype, that all black people are poor, and he has to fit into that stereotype. So he's relatable, and in a lot of ways that's probably true because they do believe that. The liberals do believe that.
He's a Harvard Chronicle profile of Bragg that touches on his time at Trinity, the $57,000 a year tuition private school, says he enjoyed Trinity despite occasionally feeling like teachers asked him to be the flag bearer for his race in a discussion. His usual classroom surroundings were described as overwhelmingly white. Contrast that with the January 3rd memo from Alvin Bragg. He said this in his memo, right, that he just sent out in January 3rd. Growing up in Harlem in the 1980s, I saw every side of the criminal justice system from a young age. Before I was 21, I had a gun pointed at me 6 times, 3 by police officers, 3 by people who were not police. I had a knife to my neck, a semi-automatic gun to my head, and a homicide victim on my doorstep. Really think some guy that went to a $57,000 a year school.
I'd love to know the house he grew up in.
After Trinity, he went to Harvard, enrolled in student government programs there. His parents were able to give him opportunities. His mother became dean of academic affairs at Manhattan Community College. His father was a career activist with the New York Urban League in Manhattan. And it goes on and on. You know, listen, there's nothing wrong with the fact that he comes from wealth.
Nothing.
But he's trying to act like
he's something he's not.
Yeah, like he's down with a hood. He's
I'm so sick of these politicians just lying to people. I mean, aren't you guys tired of this crap?
Yeah.
I am so sick. Anytime a politician, other than Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump.
Ron DeSantis is perfect.
Other than those two, pretty much every politician that opens their mouth is lying 90% of the time. I mean, they really just can't help themselves. And they say whatever they have to say, do whatever they have to do to win and to get into power. They really don't have any qualms about lying right to your face. Mm-hmm. It's just remarkable because in his mind, if he was honest about his background, I remember reading his bio and I'm thinking, God, that seems like a lot. And after I read it, I thought, wow, he must have grown up in the projects. I mean, because that's the kind of stuff that happens there. It doesn't happen in regular suburban neighborhoods. But clearly he's lying. I mean, if he went to my college education didn't even cost that much. I got a 4-year degree for about $25,000.
Sure? I don't know how much. We went to Florida State, yeah.
Well, I went to Florida State.
Yeah.
But, back in the 90s.
This wasn't college, Kathy. This was like
I'm saying,
grade school and high school, $57,000.
So his high school alone was $200,000.
Yeah.
For total alone. He probably went to private school from kindergarten on. Yeah. So his education probably was about $1 million total. Then he went to Harvard. So this guy's got a $2 million education. And he's sitting here and he's letting all these criminals go free in New York.
You know what
the
it
hell?
is? You know what it is? And this is probably what he learned from his father. there are people that are wealthy and well-educated. There's a lot of money to be made out of being an activist, and he's an activist, and his business is making minorities feel that they're victims, and he's not. Now, I wanted to mention
that's the thing is there's a victim mentality in a lot of minority communities, and in some other white communities, but they feed on that. They feed off that victim mentality.
I got a press release here from Fox News Channel involving the Five, and Judge Jeanine has been named co-host of the Five. I guess she's on there on occasion, but she is now officially a part of the panel. Now listen to this.
Oh, great.
This is the press release today. Fox News Channel's The Five has added Jeanine Pirro as a full-time co-host with a rotation of Harold Ford Jr., Geraldo, and Jessica Tarloff as co-hosts for the liberal seat.
God.
Harold Ford, Geraldo, and Tarloff
Who's
rotate.
Harold Ford?
You've seen him. He's a black liberal guy. He was in Congress. And this will start January 24th. And Jesse Waters is still going to be a part of it, even though he's got his own 7 p.m. show. He's still going to be on there. Judge Jeanine's not rotating. She's going to be a permanent person there.
I'm happy about that.
But they have Harold Ford Jr., Geraldo, and Jessica Tarloff. They rotate the liberal seat. And the reason they rotate the liberal seat is because the show's out of balance. For some reason, they feel they got to have a token liberal. And if they have one liberal, they're going to be so humiliated and beaten up and embarrassed that that's what happens on The View.
That's exactly
with the token
right.
conservative. So The View should kind of, if they were smart, but they're not over there, they should do what they do at Fox, rotate the conservative like they rotate the liberal on the Five. I mean, look at the times when Geraldo's entire manhood and life was called into question by Dan Bongino, and it was I grew up with Geraldo Rivera, so I'm a fan of Geraldo, and I don't agree with him politically, but he was good friends for many years with Steve Kane, and Steve hasn't said many good things to me privately about Geraldo, and he knew him pretty well and been to his house and stuff, so. In New York, but when Dan Bongino was going up against Geraldo, I thought Geraldo was going to quit Fox News. Geraldo thought he was a cop because he did some stories with the cops, with the media. He thought he was in the army because he did some stories in Afghanistan. And when Dan Bongino says, just because you did a story on the cop when did a ride along doesn't make you a police. And Geraldo Rivera thought that he had been on the streets fighting crime and in Afghanistan fighting a war. And you could see his whole identity being questioned. And if somebody has to go through that every day, it's a disaster.
I think
they have to rotate the liberal host.
Yeah, and I think on The View, I don't watch it, but I think they're rotating the conservative now. They've had a lot of different conservative hosts, but they're trying to find somebody. Everybody wants Candace Owens. That'll never happen. They're way too afraid of her. She would take over that show, and it would not last.
It'd be all about her.
The difference between The View and The Five. The View is, now I don't watch it, but I do see clips. The View is just nasty. They're not nice to each other.
It's a poison show.
They can't debate without getting really nasty and not in a good way. The Five, they debate, but you can tell they still get along and still respect each other. Like Jesse will say something to Geraldo that's kind of a dig, but then he'll laugh. Oh, I love you. And you could tell they hang out outside and that and Jessica Tarloff too.
I can't stand Jessica Tarloff.
She's actually gotten a little,
can't stand her.
Since she's gotten pregnant, she's gotten a little less acerbic.
Yeah.
But you can tell they all get along with each other. They don't agree, but they're mature about it. They don't get nasty and say nasty things personally. They keep it pretty much, as much on the topic. The View is just unwatchable. I'm sorry. Joy Behar and Whoopi have got to go. They are old, nasty, old biddies. I can't stand them. I don't know why the hell they're on there.
Remember they fired Joy Behar and brought her back.
I don't know why liberals just can't put together good TV. I mean, MSNBC, they got Joy Reid.
Because when it involves,
CNN sucks. The View sucks.
When it comes to politics, they're so angry.
They are.
They can't see.
They can't see anybody else's point of view.
And I'll tell you, I remember when who was the girl that was on The View that was on Survivor Australia. She was on
Elizabeth Hasselbeck.
Okay.
She was on for quite a while.
When Elizabeth Hasselbeck was on The View, I liked Elizabeth Hasselbeck. We used to watch her on Survivor. Two people did something to her, two celebrities that I just can't let go. Alicia Silverstone and Barry Manilow. They were both on The View, and when they walked out on stage, they shook hands and hugged everybody, both of them on the panel, except her, because she's a Republican.
They totally ignored her.
That means Elizabeth Hasselbeck is a hate monger, intolerant person. And Barry Manilow, I like Barry Manilow's music, not as much as I used to. But when he did that, I don't listen to Barry Manilow. If he's on TV, I'm out. I'm not. Yeah. I saw an ugliness of Barry Manilow that I didn't know was there.
It doesn't cost
liberals
anything.
Are consumed with hate.
It doesn't cost anything to be gracious and respectful.
Liberals can't be gracious.
And if you're a guest on a show, you might not like the person, and you might totally disagree with them. But out of respect for the audience and out of respect for the show, you should be respectful. I was watching, it's totally off topic, but I was watching this old interview with Lucille Ball with Johnny Carson. She was not nice, and she was extremely disrespectful to Johnny Carson, and I love Johnny Carson. And I'd said to you, Johnny Carson was the king of late night. He was a kingmaker. That guy was very powerful in Hollywood, and he's a great guy and very funny, extremely talented. His show is the show of record. Mm-hmm. And when you go on a show like that, you have a level of respect, which she was not. And when Lucille Ball acted so rude to him, it made her look like a jerk.
Yeah, it did. Now, listen, we're all out of time, but we will be back next time. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll talk to you next time.
Have you ever dreamed of being wealthy using real estate? If you answered yes, there's a podcast you will want to add to your playlist. Big Fat Real Estate Checks, hosted by Marco Kozlowski. Available on all podcast platforms. It's a podcast about investing in U.S.-based multifamily real estate. If you want to replace your JOB income with passive income for life, host Marco Kozlowski's proprietary systems and processes can help you get there. And you don't necessarily need money or credit to do it. Marco has been in real estate for over 20 years and has learned lessons, horror stories, and an entertaining and fun way of teaching you how to win the game of cash flowing real estate without breaking the bank, without risk, and without using any of your credit. He has hundreds of successful students who used his systems and processes to replace their income and retire. Check it out today and learn from Marco. His podcast is filled with valuable information that you can actually use. You will learn how to build real, generational wealth. No get-rich schemes here. At Big Fat Real Estate Checks with host Marco Kozlowski to your playlist right now. Available wherever you listen to podcasts.